Lately, it feels like all I see is Mono Element Team, and that's not too surprising. With the elemental synergy of vision cards and the extra mastery abilities that they provide with each other, Mono Element teams are very, very powerful. And then when you're running Arena, you just typically take one element and counter any team that's of the opposite one, and you end up winning all your matches. But I wanted to test a Mono Piercing team, so everybody has some piercing affinity, and we just move on from there, and we'll see if we can make that work. What we have is Winter Pashery. She's a very bulky character with very high attack, so she's going to deal significant damage. And then she's got Keen Blade, so hopefully in the early turn she helps us get the first hit on the enemy team, and then she survives long enough to do a lot. If we're fighting ice enemies, she'll be extremely good, and she's got some decent resistances as well to magic and lashing attacks. Then Aranea, also pretty bulky and high attack, but you can tell these are lower numbers than what Mashery has. That's normal. She is really, really, really strong in an ice setup, but in a elemental setup like this that's rainbow, it's a little bit tougher. Hopefully though, with her 41 defense, if we're fighting physical enemies, she will tank for a long time, and then that helps us survive a little bit longer. She's got decent resistances to piercing and missile in her case, so she's a really good frontliner. And then we'll see just how much damage she can do, but I don't expect her to one-punch in a build like this. Then our final team member is Winter Luartha, who I'm still testing out. I've used her in manual a lot and she performs very well, but this is the first time we're trying her in this auto setup, so we'll see how it goes. But decent HP, very, very high attack. We're turning on the self-sacrifice, so hopefully she does a lot of damage. And then she might run out of AP though, but we wanted her to go first, so we've boosted her agility a lot, just so she uses an accuracy up buff on everybody early on and increases our missile resistance. I think the accuracy is really important for somebody like Aranea to just one-shot with her limit burst, so that's what we'll try. In terms of abilities on-off, I did turn off a single ability, which is Aranea's area buff, because she will use that instead of Bells, and I need her to have as much HP as she can. So I'm turning off aerial supremacy, and everything else on everybody's kits is available. So that's all I've changed. We've got an interesting mono wind squad on the other end. We do have one ice unit, so we could leverage that. But when we have, a full rainbow team, I don't think we can really say that we're leveraging an elemental advantage. Half the elemental teams will have, we will have some form of advantage against, or they will have some form of advantage against us. In this case, though, I'm very curious. If we can get the first hit with Aranea, we will quite likely be able to just take somebody out. Typically, these teams are very evadey, but in this case, I don't really care about evasion because we have an accuracy up buff early on, and we just generally all have pieces of accuracy gear on everybody. So let's see what happens. Well, enemy Leela begins in range, and she hits really hard on our Mashery. Even though this Mashery has 20% magic resistance, it just doesn't really matter against a full-powered enemy Leela. So let's see what happens here. We use Bells, so we were not in range to hit her, but Mashery should be. So we're jumping, and I'm expecting this to be a kill. Yep, 8,000 damage, takes her out immediately. So that's the risk of running a Leela with Chikuchi in that map. She'll just charge forward and potentially die before doing anything. So at that point, one of our team has some AP refresh. The enemy Varush is very accurate, but I don't feel like that's going to matter too much. Let's see if Aranea can reach. Not yet. So now she's got all the buffs in the world, but nothing much to do with them. And Mashery decides to go back to use Keen Blade instead of using it on Aranea, which is a little bit of a shame. Yeah, our team has really split up at that point. Well, I guess we'll see if Aranea can solo the rest of the enemy team. I wanted this to be kind of a Luartha showcase, but she does not seem to be doing much of that for now. So, Dragon Scale, Mashery's going to rush back in now, and we will get to see probably the Limit Burst. Nope, Aranea just chooses to use a basic ability. Alright, Luartha really enjoys staying back in this map, it would seem. So, Varush starts moving forward, we one-punch the enemy Luartha, which again, I expected considering Aranea's damage, and then everybody moves on to Varush, but he's probably going to die from Luartha before anything else happens, throwing a spear from across half the map, and oh, it is not a one-punch, so never mind, Luartha did not have the damage with her javelin to kill him. Now, here's a matchup I'm a little bit scared to see. Normally, we are very missile resistant when we're running Aranea, but in our current setup, we're not running the Mask of Deceit VC. Now, we do have the Winter Luartha 15% missile resistance buff, and hopefully that's going to help us. But if every member of the enemy team decides to shower the same character, I'm pretty sure we won't survive to get there. So we'll just see what happens. We do have really good range with two of our characters that have 6 ranged square attacks. That's Winter Mastery and Winter Luartha. So maybe it'll be able to help with that. I'm not too sure. And against them, I believe the accuracy up will be important once more, just because of the luck up VC and the fact that Lara Croft is pretty baity. So let's see. They use a bunch of really good buffs, lots of offense on their side, lots of offense on our side as well though. So Revitalize, great, and then hopefully we immediately use Keen Blade with Winter Mastery. So that's what happens, great, except it's not on Aranea. That would have been a little bit better, but she could not get in range. So Ruler's Providence right there, and we're all kind of in range. We actually get the first hit, but it's with our fire unit, so I don't think it's going to matter too much. She's in the air during their turn, that's really good, but we take a barrage, and then Winter Viktora will probably take Aranea out right here. Yeah. So we lose one of our strongest carry before any damage is done. Meanwhile, we haven't killed anybody on the enemy team, and they're now hasted. This is looking grim, but fortunately for us at least, they've used a lot of AP for this. So Javelin Fall right here takes them both down in a hit. Wow, Luartha showing her raw damage. Imagine if she wasn't a full win team, how much that would have done. Now though, I think she's going down. Nope, barely survives the Dispel Spread. So yeah, okay, Precision Jump did barely anything on the enemy Winter Luartha, followed by a Binding Javelin that finishes her off. Wow, that was a Luartha carry for sure. It looks like we're just doing a round of different elemental teams at that point. So now we're going to be fighting a Fred. Now this team is a little bit interesting. They have AP Refresh on Fred and on Cloud, and the 9S has the Holiday Moogle card, which is probably a lot weaker than what they could have. But yeah, we'll just see what happens against them. So far, we seem to have had really good damage, but I'm afraid because Frederika has decent pierce resistance, so we might not be able to one-punch her, and then they have the power of Reflex, which is always a very scary thing. So, enemy Fred uses aimed fire, Cloud probably starts rushing towards us, which is good, and then Masterful Melody, I do believe the missile resistance against them will be pretty handy. So, okay, they have a fully powered up Fred with attack, accuracy, and missile attack up. That's going to be very scary. Aranea starts moving forward, and then, as per usual, Mastery uses Keen Blade, and we start advancing. That should give us the first hit with Mastery, hopefully. I also like Protect on Luartha. It is what saved us in the water matchup that we had right before, so that's pretty fun. Good. Mastery being in the air during the Lightning enemy team's turn is really good, because she would have been in range. We take a first barrage, and one-punch the enemy Fred from halfway across the map. Wow, that was a really good Mastery carry. And then, well, the enemy team should be the one with the Reflex, but apparently we proc it first because Winter Mastery also has that, so not too bad. We then jump on Cloud, and I think he's going to die from that unless he reflexes. And Luartha also agrees because she decides not to attack him. And indeed, Cloud is dead. At that point, Mastery jumps on 9S again. Probably not a kill this time. Let's see what 9S can do. Just a bit of damage, nothing too important. Takes one hit, and then I'm guessing Aranea will finish him off, unless Luartha does so first. Hopefully. Well, they're both in the air, so whoever lands first, procs Perfect Evade. So he survives the first jump. Does he survive the second? I don't know. We'll see in a minute. No, he doesn't. Okay. Well, looks like the Dragoon team's doing well for now. Here's one we haven't done before, Double Fire and Single Water, and they're all about tankiness, I believe. They're gonna have good survivability overall with that Water Holiday Party VC. I do expect Winter Viktora to do little damage, but I'm afraid of how poor the performance from Aranea will be against these fire units that are obviously going to take reduced damage from her. So I guess we'll see. Something we haven't tested out yet with our comp is how well we do against a tank like King Mont. We do have some form of defense penetration, but Winter Mastery has 0 defense penetration. Well, I think 15 or 10 from her mastery ability. So she mainly relies on reducing the enemy team's defense in order to do her damage. I guess we'll just see what happens here. So it's the usual start though. We have Bells here, enemy Winter Viktora. I think, yeah, she's running Lucio's TMR, which is kind of fun. I start to see a lot of teams with double AP refresh, which is kind of refreshing. And then our Mastery also has their own format of AP refresh. So here we go, Winter Masteries in the air during the enemy turn, which is what we really like to see. And because of that, King Mont's not able to hit. Glaciela will be though. So we might lose, yeah, 10,000 damage from the get-go. We just lose Aranea before she does anything, so that's really bad. Winter Masteries in range, starts hitting. Oh, and she does significant damage because she's hitting a fire unit, so we're definitely at a disadvantage here. Javelin Fall, not enough damage on King Mont to take us much closer to victory here. I am very scared of what we'll see. So, first hit, it's a decent one, but it's not enough to get any closer to victory. Now, King Mont has defense down. Hopefully we can take him out right here. Use a basic attack, and yeah, 5,000 from us, that's good. But we have another Dispel Spread coming our way, and I'm afraid. Okay, it did not kill our Luartha, but she's lapping us, and that has enough AP with Lucio's TMR to hit us once more, and they win. So, Lucio's TMR MVP in this fight. Here's another one I'm kind of interested to see. That's Mono Wind, but they have a very bulky setup. Noctis, Winter, Vinera, and Oberon are all kind of bruisers, so I'm curious to see how well they'll survive. Obviously, our Luartha has an edge over them, but then the rest does not have any form of elemental advantage, so it should be an interesting fight. I think we'll struggle because we don't have any barrier breaker against Oberon, and then the type of damage he does, he might be able to kill some people on our team very quickly. But maybe he'll just walk in our range very early too, and we'll be able to get the first hit and kill him before he does anything. With the Keenblade from Macherie, that would be an ideal scenario, so I guess we'll see. These enemies do have 2 forms of AP Refresh, so they are very heavy on the AP side, and we begin our Keenblade approach, I think. Nope, Winter Macherie is already in range, so immediately chooses to jump and hit Oberon for very little damage. So we're going to take his LB right now on 2 characters. I believe we lose this fight right here. We were next to each other, did not get to do our game plan of Keenblade early on because of the fact they moved in our range, and he just one-shots 2 of us. So, can this team fight Oberon well? No, it can't. There's nothing we can do. But I guess we will have a chance to see how Winter Luartha performs against Earth units a little bit. Takes a taunting spell, doesn't really do anything except force us to target her now. And then Oberon's going to probably die right here from a Javelin Fall. So we take 2 of them out, crazy damage from Luartha. At that point, it's Noctis versus Luartha. Okay, our team might be underperforming, but this is turning out to be a great Luartha showcase. 1 hit on Noctis, he tanks it much better than the others, but uses Taunting Spellback, which really doesn't do anything, and we're gonna finish him off with the Thick Thrusts. And there we go. Luartha 1v3 the rest of the enemy team, it seems. Overall, this was a very fun team. I've done a total of 10 battles, won 6, lost 4, and those that I lost were all those where I targeted a tank, like Engelbert or King Mont, and we just could not get through that tank quickly enough, and since nobody was really tanky in our team, it ended up being very difficult. When we were fighting squishier enemies, it was a lot better, and against Oberon, somehow, when he would one-shot 2 of our guys, or 1 of our guys, then Luartha would clean up pretty well. So it was a fun team. Is it the best way to use your Winter Luartha or your Spear units? Probably not. I still think Mono Elemental is stronger for a reason, and that's why we see a lot of it. But it was super fun to try, and I like these kind of arena challenges. So that's going to be it from me. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.